Namaste. Aloha. My name is Janapati Das. Just fix my lens a little bit there. Welcome to another reading of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated and purported upon by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. If you have not yet liked my page for my YouTube channel, please do so or subscribe, and also make comments on the videos, and feel free to share the videos. And I've done already the Krishna book for the last few years. We have been reading through the Bhagavad Gita as it is for the last few months, and we are continuing on with our chapter 1. I believe it's at text 27, and we're reading through the reports and we're commenting on that. So I'd like to take this opportunity to pay my respects to you. Thank you for continuously watching these videos. And I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Jagat Guru, Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa, Srila Prabhupada, and to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And pray for their mercy upon me, that I may be able to give some light, shed some light, not for my own grace or for my own glory, but by the mercy of my spiritual master and my spiritual grandfather and all great Vaishnavas, that I may be able to give this class today. And so I'd like to start off by doing some kirtan, hearing and chanting of Krishna's names. So please join along. Namo Siddha Sarupananda Paramamsa Namine Yola Karuna Svarupaya Radha Krishna Prasthaya Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramamsa Namine Yola Karuna Svarupaya Radha Krishna Prasthaya Bhajan Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaur Bhaktavrinda Bhajan Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Shiva Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Shiva Prabhupada. Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto. Okay. So we are going to continue with this great Bhagavad Gita, and as you have recalled before, what we left off was everybody blowing their horn on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right, and getting ready for this battle. And before they started that, Arjuna had requested his chariot driver, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to go out to the middle of the battlefield. And it was his intention at the time to just see who was on the battlefield and see how bent upon fighting they were, and how, basically just to check out the battle as a warrior. He wasn't intending to say, oh, I don't want to fight, but he got out there and he saw all the people on the battlefield. And Krishna had said that Krishna knew, because Krishna is a super soul in everyone's heart, knew exactly what Arjuna was thinking. And he kind of was making a joking about, look at it, behold all the Kurus. And then we get to at the beginning of ours where we left off. So he could see, he saw all the uncles, the well-wishers, and everyone on everybody's side, and he became overwhelmed with compassion, right? This was where we were left off. He was overwhelmed with compassion. And as a devotee of Krishna, it's very natural for us to be compassionate about the well-being. But where we apply compassion is as we will see as we get into these verses, when Krishna and Arjuna are discussing the idea about compassion, what is real compassion and what is lamentation, right? When you're lamenting over the bodies of people that come into the body, and then they leave the body, and the body dies, and you think, oh, they're dead, and you have lamentation. You're lamenting, and maybe you're feeling compassionate about the effect of the person leaving the body. But anyway, Arjuna was overwhelmed with compassion, right? Text 28. Arjuna uvacha driste mam svajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupashtitam shidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushati. Arjuna, uvacha, said, Dristva, after seeing Imam, all these Svajanam, kinsmen, Krishna, O Krishna, Yuyutsum, all in fighting spirit, Samu Pashtitam, all present, Siddhanti, quivering, Mama, my, Gatrani, limbs of the body, Mukhyam, mouth, Cha, also, Parishushati, drying up. Translation. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. So this was a very interesting scenario. It didn't happen to Arjuna because Arjuna was a fearless warrior. He never was frightened, as a true Kshatriya who was never frightened or had to, whatever, his body shaking and like a little girl, and a very scary lion or something. Purport: any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods. Whereas a non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. So this is a really important point. So a lot of times we think about the different things about the material world, whether they be personality traits, qualities that people strive for, how to solve kind of certain problems in the world, whether they be environmental or racism or whatever. We think we hone in on those things, and how do we try to figure out how do we get those qualities, or how do we solve that problem externally by manipulating material energy. And the problem is that that's not the way to go about it, because usually, as they say, the path of good intentions is laid the road of good intentions leads to hell. So oftentimes, and not oftentimes, just every time when you're trying to solve problems or try to find qualities by externally applying things or manipulating things in the material world, or having to do with our material body, it's bound for failure, and sometimes even worse, dictatorships. Like you think of like the great the Communist Party, or what Karl Marx was trying to strive for, and just by manipulating situations, created one of the worst philosophical dictatorships of philosophies of communism. And every country that's tried to apply it in their life has basically almost destroyed the country and killed millions of people in the process. Whether it's Mao or Stalin or any of the other communist leaders. And so the point being is that the devotee of Krishna, by surrendering their life and their devotion to Krishna, obtains these good qualities naturally by the grace of serving Krishna. So, you want to be a vegetarian, it's already there. You be a vegetarian, you're already saving the planet by eating less and not over consuming and not over endeavoring for material things. So all these things that we will actually, there's qualities of devotees and demons later on in the Bhagavad Gita. We'll get to that. But the basic premise of it is surrender to Krishna, is our surrendering our life to Krishna, and all these things will actually come about of their own. So what Bhaktivedanta Swami is saying here is that generally a person who has devotion for Krishna has all the godly qualities of a demigod. They're patient, they're kind, they're compassionate, they're even keeled, equiposed, everything about it, peaceful, truthful, honest. All the good qualities in a person is already immediately found in the pure devotee of Krishna. So that's what it says. The non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications and education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. People often think, now if I just was educated in the best universities and whatever it might be, I might get enough money, I will be a pious man. And that there are cases where that happens, but generally, most cases, you think about oftentimes I've watched these documentaries about people from third world countries who come from poor means, and they figure if they go to Europe or America, study in the best universities and get some money, they can come back and lead their country, and they end up being great dictators who kill millions of people. And they justify it with their education. So, that just goes to show that without Krishna, it's useless. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them who had so decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth driving up, but that he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, Yashati Bhaktir Bhagatavi Akinchana Savar Gunyash Tatra Samaste Shura Savar Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadguna Mano Raten Nashati Devato Bahi. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. That's pretty self-explanatory. Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 18th chapter, 12th verse. That's the summary, of this Bhagavad Gita, that one who surrenders to Krishna has all victory and all great fortune. So, text 29. Vepa tuscha shalile me Roma harshascha jayate Gandivam shlamshate hastat tvakchaiva parityayate. Vepatuhu, trembling of the body. Cha, also. Shalile, on the body. Me, my. Roma harshaya, standing of hair on end. Cha, also. Jayate is taking place. Gandivam, the bow of Arjuna. Shamshate is slipping. Hashtat, from my hands. Tvak, skin. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Paridyate, burning. So he's got all these, manifesting all these symptoms, and when you've like walked into a room and you hear something in the corner, or you see like a silhouette of someone, your hair is like, it's fear, right? So translation, my whole body is trembling and my hair is standing on end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. So the Gandiva bow was actually given to him by the demigods. It is a powerful, powerful bow that only Arjuna could carry, but yet he was having a hard time holding it. Purport. There are two kinds of trembling of the body and two kinds of standing of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. And this is obviously the latter, right? There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous bow, Gandiva, was slipping from his hands, and because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. So basically, this is a material situation, and Arjuna will try to address this and defend it, and Krishna will basically tell him that this is the material situation that you're getting all bent out of shape about. Text 30. Nacha shaknomi ashvatatum balamativa cha me manaha nimititani cha pashyami viparitani keshava. Na, nor. Cha, also. Shaknomi, am I able. Ashvatatum, to stay. Bharatmati, forgetting. Iva, as. Come from Sanskrit. Cha, and. Me, my. Manaha, mind. So the manaha, which is mind, the mind. And when we translate the word mantra, it is man meaning the mind and tra meaning to draw away. So the mantra actually is able to elevate the living entity out of the realm of the mind and place it on the transcendental sound. So it also gives the mind actual rest. Nimitani causes. Cha also. Pashyami, I foresee. Viratani, just the opposite. Keshava, O killer of the demon Keshi, Krishna. So, important point, Keshava. So we were talking about the titles and there's significance of why people address them as such. And we will see why he refers to him as the killer of the Keshi demon. Translation, I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, O killer of the Keshi demon. So this is also setting something, when we talk about the living entity, when the living entity often will take situations to the spiritual master, their spiritual master, and they will have symptoms like this because they are in such great anxiety about the situation or whatever they're dealing with, that they have to take it to the authority of the spiritual master. And this is what Arjuna is setting up for, to basically relieve his anxiety that is happening in his mind due to his material conception of the situation that he's dealing with. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of the weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in a bewildering condition of existence. So this again, once again, excessive attachment for material things puts a man in a bewildering condition of existence. This is what we are all dealing with in this material world. Why it's so pertinent to have a spiritual master to guide you in the material life, because material life is brutal. And if you don't know your truth of who you are and what the purpose of your life is, it's horrible. It's horrific. It's bewildering. This is why people kill themselves, because the mind is so powerful and it just overwhelms this existence of trying to find happiness and love in this world through the material elements. Vayam divitya binine shataha. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Now, my spiritual master, Jagaguru, he said everything you can learn about spiritual life is you can learn on the playground with the seesaw. It's like sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes you're up and you're down. And when you go up high, and it may be real exciting that you're going up, but then you eventually will go back down again, and then that down is low, and then you go up and down and up and down. And oh, yeah, this is great. Oh, I'm down again. Oh, I'm up and down. With winter and summer seasons, as the Bhagavad Gita explains. And it is without this mental equilibrium, you're just yanked up and down, hoping for ups and hoping it will never end, and not trying to get the downs and trying to hopefully get yourself out of the downs. And he said that it's best to just always be on equilibrium, an equal pace, equiposed, despite what's going on materially. If you're up or you're down, if you're up, it's great, okay, whatever, but know that it's going to go down. If you're down, it's okay, whatever. Just chant Krishna's names, always chant Krishna's names, always remember. But if you don't, then it is a fearful and it is a horrific sight, especially in the time of death, when you or if you're in a situation where you're going to leave your body. That's a very fearful situation. If you don't prepare for that, then it is an extremely fearful situation. Arjuna envisioned only unhappiness in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. The word nimitta is significant. Nimitta, as they say, nimittani, causes, right? When a man sees only frustrations in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Actually, that frustration is an impetus to get you to say, why am I here? Why, even though I try so many things in this material world that people say that will make me happy, I'm completely miserable. What am I doing here? You know, people will eventually come to that point. Why am I here? What am I doing here? And then that's why you have a spiritual master to teach you about Krishna and about who you really are, which is extremely liberating. So you can see Arjuna's in a dilemma, right? But this is our own personal spiritual experience as living entities in the material world. We're non-different than Arjuna in this situation. We are also facing the great battle. We are also facing a dilemma. And we are also frustrated and in anxiety over these things. We deal with this. Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Arjuna is supposed to show disregard for self-interest by submission to the will of Krishna, who is everyone's real self-interest. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that his victory in the battle would be the cause of lamentation for him. So, there's that word lamentation. So, and when I get to this verse later in the next chapter where it says, no, the wise person does not lament for the living or the dead, right? And my spiritual master has a wonderful lecture where he discusses the difference between true compassion and lamentation. And this is all based on what Bhaktivedanta is saying here about the illusion of being the body and the mind creates, and trying to find the complete happiness and satisfaction from that mental plane actually brings about bewilderment and unhappiness. Frustration is what Arjuna is dealing with here. And Krishna is going to kill that doubt in his head because Arjuna will submit it to him. Text 31. Nacha Shreyo Nupashyami Hatva Shvajayam Ahave Na Kankshe Vijayam Krishna Nacha Rajyam Shukani Cha Na Nor Cha also Shreyaya good Anupashyami do I foresee Hatva by killing Svajanam own kinsman Ahave in the fight Na nor Kankshe do I desire Vijayam victory. That's that word again. Jaya, right? Victory. Krishna, O Krishna, na nor Cha also Rajyam kingdom Shukani happiness thereof. Cha also. So we have the word Raja, which means king or an emperor, right? And so Rajyam is a kingdom. Rajas, we have these, the Raja Surya sacrifice that Yudhishthira went through. Also Bharat Maharaj, Maharaj, the great king, great emperor. So there's that word. It's good to know some Sanskrit. I'm not a real Sanskrit scholar, but it's really fascinating to when you come across Sanskrit words that you know, and you can see how wonderfully deep and awesome Sanskrit is, and how you have to be a pure devotee to really understand it, because many people have tried to translate this and they come out with the wrong translations and the wrong meanings. But as a pure devotee of Krishna, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, you can go into these words and sometimes there are multiple meanings of them, but because of the context of the verse, Bhaktivedanta will translate it a certain way to may not be the direct translation, but it be related. And the only way to understand that is to understand that from the perspective of the pure devotee teaching you. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So here is the problem. He's basically seeing that this is not a good idea. This is how he's laying it out. He doesn't want to kill all these people and cause all these problems. And what am I going to get out of it? A kingdom? Who cares about the kingdom? It's like, I'm not attached. And as a devotee, great kings and emperors will take on great wealth as a service to Krishna, but when they have to give it up at the time of death, they just walk away from it. They take everything off. They go off to the forest. This is what was expected. So Arjuna wasn't particularly attached to having a great kingdom or anything like that. He was actually thinking he was acting from compassion by seeing how much suffering, and he's going to lay out all of his arguments about why this is a bad idea in this first chapter. Purport: without knowing that one's self-interest is in Vishnu or Krishna, conditioned souls are attracted by bodily relationships, hoping to be happy in such situations. So here Bhaktivedanta is also saying what Krishna is going to be saying is kind of like he really is attracted to keeping the relationship. So it's not really a service to Krishna, or even really compassionate, but he's actually wanting to enjoy having this relationship with all his friends and martial teachers, and not upsetting that, even though it's completely justified to kill them. He's seeing it as a desire of his material desire, right? And this is what Bhaktivedanta Swami is saying. If you don't have an interest, and basically you have Krishna on your chariot, and Krishna is telling you, I want you to do this, and and you're like, well, I don't want to do that because I want to enjoy having a relationship with these people. It's really what he's saying. Under delusion, they forget that Krishna is also the cause of material happiness. Arjuna appears to have even forgotten moral codes for a Kshatriya. It is said that two kinds of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies directly in front of the battlefield under Krishna's personal orders, and the person in the renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual culture, are able to enter into the sun globe, which is so powerful and dazzling to this heavenly planet. So just by doing what they're doing, the Kshatriya code, they understand that if you die in battle for a righteous cause as a Kshatriya, then you will go on to enjoy in the heavenly planets. Arjuna is reluctant to even kill his enemies, let alone his relatives. He thought that by killing his kinsmen, there would be no happiness in his life, and therefore he was not willing to fight, just as a person who does not feel hunger is not inclined to cook. So you can see it's really about his happiness, what's going to make him happy. I think a good idea is not to kill these people so I can enjoy my relationship with them, and then I can just go off to the forest and really, I'm actually giving up all the kingdom. I don't really care about it. I'm not attached to it, but I am attached to this other thing, right? So instead of saying, Krishna, what do you want me to do? Krishna's been telling him what he wants him to do, and now Arjuna's the dilemma of the spirit soul to the spiritual master is that you take on a spiritual master to instruct you and to guide you in the ways of the things, and you think you know better. If you think you know better than your spiritual master, and you're sitting there and you're trying to tell them, you're not right, basically, and then you're not taking a relationship of submission to your spiritual master. If your spiritual master tells you something, you don't like it because it's materially inconvenient. You're not seeing the bigger picture of this thing. It's actually Krishna who wants you to do this. I mean, Arjuna was about to take part in something that was really, really intensely killing millions of people, maybe even dying himself. So yes, there was a lot there too. So it says, just as the person who does not feel hunger is not inclined to cook. So he's not really desiring to do this. So he's kind of losing his thing under the influence of Krishna's energy. Whereas before he was definitely determined, right? He has now decided to go into the forest and live a secluded life in frustration. So we will see also he's going to explain, I want to be a renunciate, and Krishna will teach him what real renunciation means, actually, and that's not it. But as a kshatriya, he requires a kingdom for his subsistence, because a kshatriya cannot engage themselves in any other occupation. But Arjuna had no kingdom, has had no kingdom. Arjuna's sole opportunity for gaining a kingdom lay in fighting with his cousins and brothers and reclaiming the kingdom inherited from his father, which he does not like to do. Therefore, he considers himself fit to go in the forest and live a secluded life of frustration. And Krishna will also make this point that you're going to have to kill and act as a kshatriya to make your sustenance be, right? You're not a yogi, you're not a brahmin, you're not a sannyasi. You are a kshatriya. Right? Text 32 to 35. Okay, so there's 3 verses here, so a lot of Sanskrit. Kim no rajyena govinda, kim bhojanar jivatena va, yeshamarte kankshitam no, Rajyam Bogaha Shunkani Cha Taime Vashtita Yude Planamashtyaktva Danani Cha Acharya Pitya Putras Tataiva Cha Pitamaha Matula Shashurlaha Patra Shalya Sambandinas Tata eta na hantum ichyami gato mpi marusadan abitrailoka rajasha heto kim nu mahikrite niyati darashtan naha cha priti sajay janadran. Woo! It's a workout, like working out of the UFC with my tongue. Okay. Chim, what use? Na, to us. Rajena is the kingdom. Govinda, O Krishna. Kim, what? Bhogyaya, enjoyment. Jivitena, by living. Va, either. Yesham, for whom. Arte, for the matter of. Kankshitam, desired. Na, our. Rajyam, kingdom. Bhogaya, Bhoga, material enjoyment. Shukani, all happiness. Cha, also. Te, all of them. Ime, these. Aveshtita, situated. Yude, in this battlefield. Pranan, lives. Tyaktva, giving up. Danani, riches. Cha, also. Acharya, teachers. Pitraha, fathers. Putra, sons. Tata, as well as. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Pitamaha, grandfathers. Machula, maternal uncles. Shashuraha, fathers-in-law. Pautraha, grandsons. Shalya, brothers-in-law. Sambandina, relatives. Tata, as well as. Eta, all these. Na, never. Hantum, for killing. Ichami, do I wish. Dinata, being killed. Api, even. Madhu Sudana, O killer of the demon Madhu, Krishna. Api, even if. Trailoka, of the 3 worlds. Raja Yasha, of the kingdoms. Heto, in exchange. Kim, what to speak of. Nu, only. Mahi Krite, for the sake of earth. Niha Taya, by killing. Dhartalastran, the sons of Dhartalastra. Na, our. Ka, what? Pritihi, pleasures. Shayat, will there be. Janardan, O maintainer of all living entities. That was a long 3 verses. Translation, O Govinda, of what avail to us are kingdoms, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed in this battlefield? O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-laws, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and all relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, though I may survive? O maintainer of all creatures, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the 3 worlds, let alone this earth. So here Arjuna is elaborating a little bit on this main point of what is the point of all these kingdoms if we don't have all of our family members to enjoy with us in this. So even if I were to win, all the worlds, what would be the point? I don't really want to fight with them. Purport: Arjuna has addressed Lord Krishna as Govinda because Krishna is the object of all pleasure for the cows and the senses. By using the significant word, Arjuna indicates what will satisfy his senses. Although Govinda is not meant for satisfying our senses, if we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, then automatically our own senses are satisfied. Materially, everyone wants to satisfy his senses, and he wants God to be the order supplier for such satisfaction. So, very good point. God, give me this, give me that. There's a very interesting thing that one of my godbrothers told me once, of a little story about the difference between this sort of idea as God is the order supplier, being thankful to God for the things that he gives us, and serving God, right? So the story is, there's a father with two sons. One of the sons, they're both sons, like ice cream, and the father out of the store once decides that he loves his son, so he's going to get chocolate ice cream for them because that's their favorite. So he buys chocolate ice cream, but he also buys himself a mango sorbet that he likes for himself as well. So he goes home, he puts the ice cream in the freezer, and then he's serves up the chocolate ice cream, and he takes out the other ice cream for himself to get later after he serves his son. So he says, hey sons, I've got ice cream for you guys. And so the kids come running, and the first son is like, oh, thank you, Daddy, thank you so much for the ice cream, and takes the ice cream and eats the ice cream. The second son sees the ice cream, so thank you, Daddy, for the ice cream. And then, but before he takes that, he actually sees that his dad has bought the ice cream that he likes, so he gets a bowl out. He's serves up the bowl, and he goes and he takes the ice cream. He said, here, Daddy, I made this ice cream for you. And so the difference is, both are very loving and thankful for both the situations, but the second son is actually the devotee of Krishna. The first son might be like most religious people, who are, thank you for this, thank you for that, please give me this, please give me that, help my team win, please help me, And even in the Vedic civilization, there are people who worship demigods so they can have good sons and lots of money, and they're good in their business and whatnot like that, but very little for actually serving to God, right? Serving Krishna. And so the second son is representative of the devotee of Krishna, who actually always thinks about Krishna and how can I serve Krishna. Krishna also wants to give things to his devotee as much as possible, but the devotee is not interested in anything but serving Krishna. It's all I wish in my life is to remember you, or even if I'm reborn in this world, I don't care even if I go to the spiritual world or to the heavenly planets or anything, there's such a striving. Are you saved in Christianity? Are you saved by Jesus? It's like the devotee doesn't really care. Jesus didn't really care whether he was saved or not. He wanted to serve his Father. He wanted to serve his dear beloved Krishna. And the devotee of Krishna wants to serve Krishna. And if that means if you have to come back to the material world, or if you go to hell and you still serving Krishna in hell, so be it. That's the difference of the attitude of the devotee of God, who is just grateful for things that God gives them, or expecting things that God gives them, and then which is in Christianity is a lot of like not even salvationism, it's elevation. If I do this kind of thing, then I will be expected to go, and I just pray to God, please let me go to heaven and be with my family and have parties and they don't really care about the relationship with Krishna so much, or God, or even Jesus Christ for that matter. They just use, and it's, my spiritual master has referred to this as like using Jesus as your doormat, so that if you can just enjoy and continually sin, and you just wipe your sins on Jesus to be able to do that. So anyway, this is getting to the point of basically that one senses are to dovetail our senses in the service of Krishna, not for our own satisfying, but Krishna will provide what it would be. When one takes the opposite way, namely when one tries to satisfy the senses of Govinda without desiring to satisfy one's own senses, then by the grace of Govinda, all desires of the living entity are satisfied. So by hook and whatever the saying is, just going back to this point that all the good qualities of a devotee, all these things that people strive for to try to be happier in material life, they come about of themselves just by the service of Krishna. And the devotee, the more they serve Krishna, the more they want to serve Krishna. They don't care if Krishna provides you, so be it. I will continue to use those good things that you've given me in my service, but I don't strive for them. I don't demand them. Please God, give me this, give me that. It's just, please God. The devotee is praying, please God, let me love you. Teach me how to love you. Please let me give my life to you. That's the real devotee attitude. Arjuna's deep affection for community and family members is exhibited here partly due to his natural compassion for them, which is, normal. Everybody has compassion for their family and their friends. He is therefore not prepared to fight. Everyone wants to show his opulence to friends and relatives, but Arjuna fears that all his relatives and friends will be killed in the battlefield and he will be unable to share his opulence after victory. So, he was like, okay, I want to share these things and enjoy them with my family. But if they're all killed, then how can I really enjoy it? Just sitting on a bunch of dead bodies. This is a typical calculation of material life. The transcendental life is, however, different. Since a devotee wants to satisfy the desires of the Lord, he can, Lord willing, accept all kinds of opulence for the service of the Lord. This is the story of Sudama Vipra, right? Not Sudama Vipra. The Brahmin Sudama, who actually was not in desire of any kind of wealth. He just wanted to see Krishna. But Krishna gave him great wealth because he knew that he wouldn't be attracted to it, but he would just use it in the service of Krishna. So there is a difference. The transcendental life, okay, so, and if the Lord is not willing, he should not accept a farthing. Arjuna did not want to kill his relatives, and if there was any need to kill them, he desired that Krishna kill them personally. So you should just do it. At this point, he did not know that Krishna had already killed them before their coming onto the battlefield, and that he was only to become an instrument for Krishna. So at this point already, Krishna was saying, that these people are already dead, they're going to die one way or another. But you have an opportunity. I'm letting you engage in the service of killing these demons for me, And this is a point that Krishna brings up to Arjuna, that real renunciation is to fight, sometimes to offer your propensities without the desire to enjoy the fruits of them. So you could lose, and that would be Krishna's arrangement. But the fact of the matter is that you've offered that offering of fighting. You've given it to Krishna. So whatever happens, Krishna, I will do this for you. I'm not attached to the outcome. So he is only to become an instrument for Krishna, right? This fact is disclosed in the following chapters. As a natural devotee of the Lord, Arjuna did not like to retaliate against his miscreant cousins and brothers, but it was the Lord's plan that they should all be killed. Krishna had an opportunity, and he brought all the demigods with him, and the demigods didn't. They had an opportunity to serve Krishna and sometimes even fight as enemies against the Lord. That was their service. Krishna doesn't need anybody to do anything for them, but he, out of his love, gives us an opportunity to come closer to him by engaging in service. Krishna could maintain everything in the universes and all the universes if he wanted to. He could handle everything. He doesn't need anybody, but he loves a loving relationship with his devotees, and this is something that is wonderful in the message of the Bhagavad Gita, that it's about love, you know, and we have this opportunity to engage in service for love of Lord, which is our true nature and what really makes us happiness. And that again is why Krishna loves us unconditionally, because he's trying to give us the opportunity to come closer to him through service. The Lord can excuse a person on his own account, but he excuses no one who has done harm to his devotees. Therefore, the Lord was determined to kill the miscreants, although Arjuna wanted to excuse them. So yeah, there was a lot of like offenses against the devotees of Krishna, the Pandavas. They endured so much thing, and Krishna was just, you know, as devotees, they're forgiving, you know, like Lord Jesus Christ on the cross was saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. But, you know, Krishna was not going to forgive them for that. But, you know, there is that acceptance of loving humbleness and no offense taken on the part of the devotee. Okay, so lots of really cool things. We're coming to the end of chapter 1. I think next time we'll just finish up the rest of these verses since we're running out of time. And Krishna will continue to put forth his arguments. He's making all these material arguments, which is the point. He's making material arguments. They're very good for a material sort of situation and the piousness of religiosity and whatnot. But Krishna will take them all down and explain later in the next chapter. So, Hari Bol, thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Namaste.